The first fundamental throw that I'm going to expose you to is, in Judo, it's called Tai Otoshi. It's going to work under a number of circumstances, and I'll give you some variations on that so you see how versatile this basic throw is. When we worked on clinches, the fundamentals of clinches, you remember the side clinch, where you want to get around the guy, get a hold of his waist, tuck your face so he can't hurt you. We're going to work that throw, that takedown, from this side clinch. First thing, I'm in my field interview stance. Brian's the bad guy, and he decides to throw that 95% overhand right that you see in all the street fights on reality TV, all the basketball brouhahas, all the hockey fights. All this, 99% of the time, somebody is throwing this overhand right. So I'm interviewing Brian, he throws the right. The arm simply comes up, I step in and wrap. I can wrap over or under. Now I'm in my side clinch where all he can basically do is hit me in the back of the head. This is my worst case scenario. From this position, after he's fought a little bit and I'm keeping my hips in right next to him, I'm simply going to step through and put my foot right next to Brian's foot with my hips underneath him. I decide now how much damage I want to do to Brian on the way down. And I come into a good position to control him with my knee and his breathing mechanism. Now I'm starting to win this fight. But if you notice, I didn't have to hurt him in order to get him here. Take another quick review of how we got into that. Review your clinches, because this is what's going to lead into it. Field interview stance, Brian throws the punch. I'm simply going to lift my arm above his arm. So as his punch comes in, my elbow is going to slide up above the level of Brian's arm. As I wrap, I'm going to step in with the opposite leg. So my hip now is behind Brian's hip. I'm controlling the solar plexus, the upper part of his body, with my head and hand, and I'm pulling on his shoulder. I've got my hip snugged in right behind Brian's left leg so that I control his hips as well. Once he settles down and I know that he can't get away from me, I'm simply going to step through, put my foot next to his foot, pull on this arm, and try to kiss my left knee. As I bend over, there's just nothing he can do but wind up in my control. From this position, I have an arm bar here and a number of other ways to finish this fight if it needs to get violent. Now I'll walk over here so you can see it basically executed. I'm in my field interview stance. Brian gets aggressive. It's through, over the top. Drop the leg in. There's a number of finishes from right here. One more time. Field interview stance. He throws the punch. I'm just sliding it along my arm. I'm not doing anything fancy. He throws. Slide, lift the elbow. I step in, side clinch. He wrestles around with me a little bit. Once he's stable, step through, pull on his arm, kiss my left knee, and he's in more trouble than I am, which is what we want. Okay, more exploration into this Tai Otoshi. Especially if you have longer legs, if you're an ectomorph, this throw and a couple of others are going to be mainstays for you. If you've got a heavier core, shorter limbs relative to your core, you will probably want to resort to hip throws, other center of mass kind of throws that will show you. This one has the advantage of being very, very versatile, and you can get at it from all kinds of different situations. If Brian grabs my lapel I can go to an arm bar from this position, but he's really free to begin to clobber me, whatever he wants to do. So I can't rely on simply an arm lock like I have here in this position. But I can step back to my Tai Otoshi. Now this arm bar has simply turned into my control point, and my foot is right by his ankle. And again, I'm going to pull on his arm, kiss my knee, and as I lower him to the ground, I'm already in an arm lock. And I have full control of this person who's been giving me these problems. And just incidentally, from this position here, going to your bent arm lock and walking around his head is going to place him in where we want to be when we finish a fight. Again, just variations now on this Tai Otoshi concept. Let's walk over here again. As he gets a grip on my shirt, or anytime you see a straight arm, basically, I'm going to inside out wrap. I'm going to go over his arm, hit him in the shoulder, and straighten out against his elbow. But that's not enough to finish a fight. I want him on the ground, on his face, with his hands behind him in a cuffing position. So instead of standing here trying to break this arm, I'm just going to use this lock as a control point, step in, and I'm going to pin his foot with my ankle. Step a little closer than that. My foot is right next to his foot. My toes are pointed the same direction as his toes. He's posted on that foot. His entire weight is on that foot. He could hop out of this, but if we do this right, we don't give him time. So with this arm bar in place, I'm going to pull on his arm and kiss my knee. As he comes down, the arm lock is in, and I'm in that position where I can now cuff him or do more damage if that's necessary. One more time. He grabs the sleeve, inside out, step back and through. Even if I miss the lock, I still have that leverage point that I need in order to put Brian on the ground. Another interesting possibility is if he grabs me by the neck with both hands, choking position, I'm just going to grab his sleeve or his arm right here, neglect the choke altogether, step back and through, put my foot right next to his foot. My body turning now has broken his grip on my neck, and all I have to do is pull on his arm, kiss my knee, and we're back in a position where we can finish this fight expeditiously. One more time so you get a feel for that variation. Grabs me by the neck, I tighten my throat so he can't do any damage. Grab his sleeve, I'm simply going to step in and around. I put my foot right next to his foot. The momentum I developed coming around, pull, kiss my knee, and now this fight's basically going my way. A couple more variations on Tai Otoshi. Keep in mind, step out here just a second. Keep in mind, you're going to be facing the same direction as your subject/opponent. This foot is going to be overlapping to the outside of your subject's foot. So you're actually trapping his ankle. If you're thinking of this in terms of leverage, that ankle is my fulcrum. I really don't care what I have a hold of up here. If we've wound up in an awkward situation like this, all I have to do is kiss my knee, and he's going to wind up in a position where I can now start putting him into a cuffing position and do what I got to do. So the fundamental we're looking at here is always getting your foot right on the outside of the other person's foot. So that no matter what he's hanging on to, if he's got me by the neck right now, go ahead in a choke for instance, that same principle is in place. I simply put my foot on the outside of his foot. I try to kiss my left knee. Very simple leverage. Now this fight is definitely going my way. And that all started out from him having me in a choke. Same concept from a bear hug from behind. If he comes under my arms, trap the leg, pull down, kiss my knee. Now I'm in a position to lock the arm up here, control him here, start looking for some kinds of pressure points that'll move his face away so I can begin to roll him over. One more variation would be with the arms on the outside of my arms in a bear hug. Make sure he can't move. Shift his balance toward that leg. Kiss my knee. Life is now going my way and not his. He rolls over and we're in a cuffing position. One more interesting variation on this is a full Nelson. When somebody comes in behind with a full Nelson, putting some pressure on your own forehead so that he can't break your neck, stepping out, and now I just roll over, kiss my knee, and my opponent is again on his back, and I'm beginning to gain control of the situation. Again, the fundamentals of your Tai Otoshi or body drop, be sure your foot is exactly on the outside of your opponent's foot. Whatever hold you happen to have coming over the top, this will be Soto, Tai Otoshi, outer wheel Tai Otoshi. I'm just going to pull on his arm, kiss my left knee. This foot is trapping his foot, so as I roll, it brings him straight out in a position where I'm in control of the fight. Tai Otoshi, basic body drop. Your foot on the outside, pull on his arm, bend over, kiss your knee.